Under the cover of night, Chief Vincent stood at the lonely river bank, clutching a trembling bottle that throbbed in his hands like a beating heart. Inside it, a faint human cry echoed. It was weak, muffled, and desperate. Vincent's jaw tightened. Gabriel, you little boy of yesterday, you returned from America to overshadow me? He muttered, his voice shaking with hatred. Never, not while I breathe. He raised the bottle to his ear. A soft plea leaked out. Please, uncle, please. Vincent's face twisted, not with guilt, but with pleasure. He whispered a dark incantation under his breath and hurled the bottle into the river with violent force. Splash! The water erupted as if something alive had been dropped into boiling oil. Shock waves rippled across the surface. A faint silhouette desperately pressed against the glass. As it sank, Vincent exhaled slowly, his lips curling into a wicked smile. Let me see how you will spend money now, he hissed. The water swallowed the bottle with a loud gulp. Then everything went silent. Dead silence. Hello, family. Welcome to African Stories That Touch. Please like, share, subscribe, and tell me where you're watching this video from in the comment section. Once upon a time, in a quiet village in southern Nigeria, two women lived under the same roof but never shared a single day of peace. They were co-wives, not by choice, but by circumstance. The second wife, Mama Peter, was gentle, soft-spoken, with a smile that could calm a storm, while the first wife, Mama Vincent, was the opposite. She was sharp-tongued, with eyes always scanning, calculating, and waiting for life to wrong her so she could strike back. And then there were the two boys. Peter, the soft-hearted, bright-eyed child, who attracted blessings without even trying. And Vincent, the older but restless one, who always felt unseen, as if life had been written against him from birth. Even as children, their destinies could be read like lines in the pan. When food was served, Peter received the warm plate. Vincent got the one already turning cold. When blankets were shared, Peter got the thick one. Vincent shivered through the night. When their father smiled, it lingered longer on Peter, even when he didn't mean to choose favorites. To Peter, these moments meant nothing. But to Vincent, they were cuts, tiny, invincible wounds that never healed. One night, as the fire in their compound burned low, flickering against the mud walls like trembling spirits, a strange stillness filled the room, so heavy it felt like breath had been stolen from the air. Mama Vincent summoned her son with a whisper. Vincent, come. He moved closer, expecting a scolding. Instead, her fingers dug into his arm, hard enough to leave marks. Her eyes glowed with something more dangerous than anger. It was bitterness, marinated for years. Listen to me carefully, she said, her voice thin and cold. Life will never treat you fairly. Your father, He loves Peter more. Everyone does. And it will always be like that, unless you stop it. Vincent swallowed. He was only 14, but her words felt like poison sliding into his ears. She reached under her mat and pulled out a small red cloth wrapped around something that pulsed faintly, as if it were alive. The temperature in the room dipped instantly. The fire hissed. A cold wind swept through, even though the windows were shut. "Take this," she whispered. "Keep it. Protect it. One day, when Peter begins to rise above you, when the world chooses him instead of you, this charm will restore what life denied you." The charm vibrated softly when she placed it in his palm. Vincent's breath trembled. He didn't understand what it was, but he felt its hunger, like a spirit waiting to be awakened. And the feeling warmed him more than any blanket ever had. Peter blossomed. He became the man everyone admired, the boy who lifted others without being asked. He fetched water for widows. He repaired leaking roofs for elders. He shared his harvest with those who had none. Even the smallest children followed him, chanting his name joyfully. Vincent watched all this from the shadows with a tight jaw, his heart tightening further with every "thank you, Peter" that floated through the air. His mother's words replayed in his head like a curse. "Never let him rise above you." Every time Peter succeeded, the charm in Vincent's pocket grew warm. Every time Peter was praised, it felt like someone drove a needle into Vincent's chest. One day, their father, who was now old and frail, called both brothers to his bedside. "My sons," he whispered, with a voice fading like a candle in the wind, "I leave this land to you both. Divide it fairly. Love each other." Peter held their father's hand gently, while Vincent stood stiffly at the corner, resentment flickering behind his eyes like a shadow. When the land was divided, Peter accepted his portion with humility, but Vincent sold his share and stumped off to the city, unable to breathe under the weight of his jealousy. Years later, Vincent returned, rich, dripping in gold, walking with the swagger of a man who conquered suffering with his bare hands. But not even wealth was able to silence the bitterness in him. Because when he saw Peter with Susan, a beautiful, graceful woman, smiling at Peter like he was the moon, something inside Vincent twisted so violently he almost staggered. "How can he, my younger brother, have the things I deserve?" he whispered, pacing alone in his compound. "Why is he happier than me? Why does he shine? Why does he glow?" His hands trembled as he pulled out the charm. It was no longer warm. Now it throbbed like a heartbeat. He pressed it to his chest. "You will not rise above me, Peter," he whispered. "Not now. Not ever." The air around him thickened. The ground trembled lightly. A faint, eerie whistle coiled around his ears, like a spirit awakening after a long sleep. Vincent did not fully understand the darkness he had just stirred, but it understood him, and it was ready. One scorching afternoon, Peter climbed a tall palm tree, his usual routine. Below him, Susan sat on the ground with her swollen belly, fanning herself with a wrapper and humming a soft lullaby. Her son Gabriel played around her feet, laughter mixing with the rustle of dry leaves. Peter was careful, always careful. He climbed slowly, steady, and sure of what he was doing. But that day, something unseen climbed with him. As he reached for the palm fruit, the branch shivered, not from the wind. There was no wind that day. A cold ripple passed through the tree. Peter paused, frowning. Then the branch moved. A hiss, like a whispering spirit, brushed past his ear. Then, crack! Peter crashed to the ground. A violent thud that shook the dry earth. His bones twisted. His breath came ragged, like light was trying to escape his chest. Susan screamed so loudly, the birds vanished from the trees. She dropped her wrapper and ran to him barefoot, sharp stones cutting her skin as she fell beside him. Peter! Peter! Answer me! Oh God, somebody help us! But the village was far, and her husband was dying fast. Blood trickled from his mouth as he tried to speak, but only gasps escaped. Susan, trembling, sprinted to Vincent's compound, her hair loose, her wrapper barely holding, dust caking her tear-stained face. She banged the metal gate with both hands. Uncle Vincent, open the door. Please, my husband is dying. Help us. Vincent opened the door with the calmness of a man expecting bad news and enjoying it. Sweat dripped down her face, her voice cracking. Please, come and help me carry my husband, your brother, to the hospital. He fell from the pantry. Vincent leaned on the doorframe. Then he smiled. A wicked, satisfying, slow smile that froze Susan's heart. My brother, he said, voice dripping with cruelty. If Peter wants to die, let him die. Susan slid to her knees. Her hands clasped. Uncle Vincent, I'm begging you in God's name. Vincent bent down, then whispered close to her ear. Susan, never kneel in front of someone who gets you. He straightened, wiped imaginary dust from his shirt, and slammed the door in her face. A loud clang. Her scream shook the compound. Peter died before sunset. The village wailed, but Vincent walked among them like a king at a festival, untouched, unbothered, and unshaken. He didn't shed a tear. He didn't offer condolences. He didn't even look at the body. He simply smirked, knowing that the charm had done its work. Susan's life became a battlefield. She woke before dawn, scavenging for food, fighting to keep her children fed. Her hands blistered, her back ached, and her eyes carried a permanent shadow of grief. Sometimes Vincent would drive past in his shiny black Jeep. Then he would slow down just enough for her to see his smile. "Good afternoon, latest widow in town," he called out once, his sunglasses reflecting her tear-stained face. "How is poverty treating you today?" he asked. Her lips shook, but she said nothing. He enjoyed her silence more than he ever enjoyed words. Vincent wanted her, not out of love, but out of conquest. He wanted her fear, her obedience, her brokenness, and he made sure she felt his shadow every single day. But pain builds warriors. From the ashes of suffering, Gabriel, Peter's son, rose. He studied under moonlight, reading borrowed books. He walked in the fields, sometimes all night. Poverty tried to break him, but every struggle sharpened him like iron in fire. Susan saw his fire and believed in it, so she made the greatest sacrifice of her life. She sold their only piece of land, the last memory of Peter, to send Gabriel abroad. Gabriel held her hands with tears in his eyes. "Mama, I swear, one day you will not cry again." Years later, Gabriel returned and the village erupted. Children ran ahead, shouting, "Gabriel is back! Gabriel has returned!" Women stood by their huts, smiling proudly. Gabriel looked transformed. His clothes were neat, his shoes polished, and his presence carried the weight of success. He brought gifts, sweets for children, perfumes for the women, shoes for the men, and most importantly, he brought hope. The village had a star again, but somewhere in the shadows stood Vincent. His eyes narrowed as he watched the celebrations, and Vincent's heart rotted. His old charm, hidden in his pocket, vibrated. It paused. It whispered. The same charm that killed Peter. "You see," a voice murmured inside his mind, "you are being overshadowed again." Vincent clenched his fist around the charm until his palm bled. "No," he whispered. "He will not rise, I swear it." He planned slowly, carefully, and wickedly. Not even the gods would detect his next move. For this time, he would not only destroy Gabriel's destiny, he would bury it alive. That night, the moon didn't just hang over the river. It was large, orange, and heavy, like an eye swollen with anger. Vincent stood at the bank, his Ankara outfit snapping in the wind like the wings of a dark bird. He held the brown bottle tightly. The bottle vibrated. Yes, vibrated, as if something inside was desperate to break free. A faint humming rose from the river, not the sound of water. A groan, a whisper, A voice. Vincent's jaw tightened. He recognized it. His mother's voice. Vincent, do not hesitate. Do not let destiny mock you. His eyes widened, then hardened. He raised the bottle and chanted the old words, the forbidden ones, the ones that were taught to him in secret, that were whispered at midnight. The ground at his feet trembled. Then the water began bubbling, boiling, though the night was cold. Mist swirled around his ankles like living hands. Gabriel, you little boy of yesterday, you dare to return from America and overshadow me? You will learn the hard way, he hissed. Tonight, as I throw this bottle into the river, may your star drown. He flung the bottle with all his strength. Piosh! The river exploded upward. A thick beam of red and white light shot towards the sky. For a moment, the world froze, and inside the spinning bottle, a figure crawled. It was Gabriel. His eyes were wide, his mouth screaming soundlessly, his body twisting as if fighting an invincible cage. Vincent smiled slowly. Your destiny ends here. The water swallowed the bottle with a loud gulp. Then everything went silent. Dead silent. Before sunrise, Gabriel jolted awake with a gasp. His chest tightened, his breath vanished, his vision blurred. He clutched his throat, stumbling, choking on air he couldn't breathe. Mirabel, his sister, rushed to him. Brother Gabriel, Brother Gabriel, what is it? What's happening? He couldn't answer. He could only claw at his chest as invincible claws dragged at his spirit. The charm was working. The first blow came days later, when his phone rang. 5 missed calls. His container had sunk into the Atlantic Ocean. Not by accident, the ship captain claimed. There was nothing wrong with the vessel, but the water around your container began swirling like a whirlpool. Nobody else's, only yours. Gabriel clenched a phone, trembling. Whirlpool in the middle of the ocean? The captain only whispered. It was as if something dragged it under the water. That night, Gabriel didn't sleep. The second blow came like a Nollywood movie. His biggest business partner vanished with all the money he had invested. But when Gabriel went to the man's house to confront him, the man's wife whispered, he woke up screaming your name yesterday. Said he saw a hand pulling him into darkness. He fled to Ghana. I don't know where he is. Gabriel's stomach twisted. These weren't coincidences. Something was after him. Just when he thought it was over, the third bill came. He lost his car, his house, everything. Every door slammed shut in his face. At night, he dreamed of drowning, his hands grabbing his legs, a bottle spinning in black water. He woke each dawn, shaking violently. His sister, Mirabel, saw it all. His mother, Susan, tried to hide her pain, but the suffering broke her body piece by piece. Her hands trembled uncontrollably. Her heartbeat fluttered like a dying bird. Her steps grew slower each week. One evening, she collapsed while bending to light the fire. Mama! Mirabel screamed. Gabriel carried her, shaking, tears falling on her face. They rushed her to the herbal home, the only place they could afford. The herbalist peeked at her and sighed deeply. This is not an illness, he whispered. This is affliction. Someone tied her destiny and that of her children together. If one falls, all fall. Gabriel felt the world tilt. Who would do this to us? He whispered. The herbalist paused, then looked him dead in the eye. Not who, my son, but why? Gabriel swallowed hard. He already knew the answer. Gabriel ran to Vincent's house like a madman. His clothes were dusty. His face was swollen from crying. Uncle Vincent, please, Mama is dying. Please help us. Vincent wiped oil from his fingers, smiling lazily. Help you? For what? Uncle, please, Gabriel sobbed. I beg you in the name of God. Vincent's eyes narrowed. That name does not move me. He stood up slowly, walked to Gabriel, looked down at him shaking on the ground. You think because you went abroad, you are better than me? Kneel! Kneel properly. Gabriel knelt free, forehead touching the dust. The moment was humiliating beyond words. Vincent leaned close and whispered, Your mother will die. Get out! He kicked him out of the compound, shutting the door with finality. 3 days later, Susan took her last breath. Gabriel held her head to his chest. Mirabel screamed until her throat went dry. The neighbors surrounded them. Silent and helpless, he screamed her name until his voice broke. He collapsed on the grave, his fists pounding the red earth until his skin tore and bled. Mirabel wrapped her arms around him from behind, both of them trembling. Brother Gabriel, we will survive, she whispered through tears. We will survive. Mama told us so. Soon, strange things started happening in the village. The river turned to blood. Vincent began waking at night, gasping for breath. He saw shadows on his wall that looked like a boy coiled inside a bottle, but he shook it off. One night, Gabriel had a dream. His mother stood above water, glowing brighter than before. My son, your suffering is not ordinary, she whispered, but neither is your destiny. She touched his forehead. You will rise. The one who buried your future will choke on his own. He woke up breathless, but something in him had changed. Hope, small but alive, ignited inside him. Meanwhile, Vincent's cruelty had reached new heights. He humiliated villagers openly. He laughed at the suffering of others and terrorized anyone who dared oppose him. One day, he came into the compound with corrupt officials to claim the last of their father's properties, their only hope. Gabriel sank to his knees, clutching the papers like a lifeline. No, no, this cannot be. Mama, help me. Mirabel, what do we do? God, where are you? Where is justice? He cried. Mirabel's small hands shook as she clasped his. We will survive, Brother Gabriel. Mama promised. She promised that one day our suffering will end. We just have to wait. And so they endured, as they had endured for years. But faith has a way of reaching even the darkest places. One morning, a local fisherman named Otuk cast his net into the river, unaware that it would change the course of history. The catch was heavier than usual. Something unusual rolled from the net. A bottle. It shimmered with a faint glow, vibrating softly, almost like it was breathing. Otu recoiled, afraid, but the bottle rolled towards him, as if inviting him. He picked it up and examined it closely. Inside, a faint figure could be seen, coiled like someone trapped in a cage. Otu's hands shook as he opened the bottle. A sharp gust of wind burst forth, nearly knocking him into the water. Then, slowly, a voice, faint and trembling, spoke. Thank you. Vincent, oblivious in his compound, sipped from wine as the skies darkened unnaturally. The wind shrieked like a living thing, rattling doors and shaking the walls. The charm in his pocket vibrated violently, as if protesting his sins. He laughed nervously. It's just the weather, he muttered. Lightning split the sky above him, striking the ground nearby. Panic surged. He dropped to his knees, sweat streaming down his face. No, this cannot be. My power, my charm. A deep, resonant voice boomed across the compound. Vincent, your time is over. Lightning struck again, shattering the doors, sending shards of wood flying. Vincent screamed, written in terror, confessing every secret cruelty, every act of wickedness. I killed my brother and cursed my brother's son. I, I destroyed lives. I'm evil. The charm recoiled violently, biting into his palm as though alive. With one final deafening strike, Vincent collapsed. The crowd of onlookers gasped in fear. Who would have thought that Vincent was the one behind all the problems in the village? His body should be thrown into the evil forest, the chief priest declared. Gabriel and Mirabel watched as the youths carried their uncle's remains to the evil forest. Finally, the storm was over. Weeks later, Gabriel got a call from Akin, a trusted friend he had met abroad. After listening to their story, he stepped forward to help. Gabriel slowly began rebuilding his life again. Months later, Gabriel, now fully restored and radiant, walked back into the village. with Mirabel and Akin beside him. The villagers stared in awe as whispers rose. "It's Gabriel! He's back!" He knelt at his mother's grave, tears streaking his face. "Mama, we made it. Your sacrifices were not in vain. We survived, and we will rise." Mirabel's hand squeezed his. "Together, Gabriel, always together." Akin gently placed a hand over hers. "And I'll always be here too," he said. In the days that followed, the family rebuilt their lives. Gabriel restored the village, building schools, clinics, and opportunities for everyone. Mirabel and Akin's love grew, and they married in a joyful celebration that united the community. Laughter, hope, and prosperity returned where sorrow had reigned for so long. And yet, the story left a lingering lesson, one whispered along for years. Before you seek to destroy another's destiny, remember, faith is patient and it never forgets. Gabriel and Mirabel eventually relocated abroad, building a life far from the shadow of Vincent's cruelty. They lived not just happily, but consciously aware of the costs of wickedness and the value of love, perseverance, and justice. Thank you for watching. Please like, share, subscribe for more, and stay tuned for the next one.